All right. Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, or good evening from wherever you're watching us from today. My name's Colin McRae, and welcome to our FIFA Street live demo and webcast. We've got thousands of you that are connected watching the stream today from all parts of the globe. Lots of you are already connected to in our chat as well, so that's fantastic. Today we're going to spend the next hour having a real deep dive on FIFA Street, a game obviously that lots of you are looking forward to. You're fans of the FIFA franchise. You're maybe a past fan of FIFA Street, and we're now getting down to the final countdown of FIFA Street coming live, our demo coming up very shortly on Feb 28th, and then the game launching starting here in North America on March 13th, and then across the globe in the days coming after that. So yeah, we're broadcasting live from the Burnaby studio of Electronic Arts, which is home to the FIFA franchise and other EA Sports games that you know and love. So we're going to be doing a number of different things today. First and foremost, showing you a lot of gameplay. Obviously, we know that that's an important part for you guys to get an unprecedented look inside the game, see the different game modes, see the different environments, all the different things that you've been looking forward to seeing inside FIFA Street. And the other important part of it as well is making sure that we answer your questions as well. So through the social stream, lots of you guys are putting in questions already. Keep doing that. We're going to get to as many questions as we can throughout the next hour. To kick things off, we're going to tease you up with a little bit of video content, from us here on the FIFA team. I think some of the trailers and some of the in-game stuff that we've been showing over the last few months on FIFA Street is some of the coolest stuff we've ever done in the history of the FIFA franchise. So what you're going to see next is just one example of that. And then when we come back from the video, we'll get right into some live gameplay with the team here and show you what's going on within the game. So let's roll that video.
Peggy 3.
For me, it's not just a game, it's a dance. You never know what's my next move.
When you're going to show a guy up and pull off a penalty, you have to be in complete control.
Play fast, play physical. Don't be afraid to bang the walls and maybe you'll keep up.
Any dude can bust out a trick, but only legend freestyle all over the court.
Everybody can score goals, but can you put it off in style?
It all starts in the streets.
It all starts in the street.
Free your game, free your game.
Free your game.
So there you have it. That's one of the cool videos that you've seen circulating on the EA channels in the last little while, showing off all the great environments of FIFA Street, including our pack star Lionel Messi scoring a sweet little goal with a little bit of class there at the end with the head. Today joining us, we're going to kick off with Sid Misra, who's line producer on FIFA Street. A little later in the broadcast, Gary Patterson, the creative director, will be joining us as well to talk about other aspects of the game. And then also sitting here on the sidelines are Mike and Anthony from the FIFA marketing team, who've got some pretty sweet sweet skills playing the game. And so we're going to be able to show you lots of different modes, lots of different environments, lots of different ways that you play FIFA Street, and really show you the depth and variety in the gameplay that comes along with FIFA Street. So Sid, just to kind of kick things off, you know, we're only a matter of days from the demo launching, only a couple of weeks from the game actually launching across the world. When you look at what's been created so far and the initial vision that you guys had for the game, how you feeling about things and the way that the game's come together?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've when you think about the original direction, authentic street football, it feels like we really managed to pull it off. There were some decisions we made early on that were kind of nervous to try to do. The whole concept of street ball control was something that we had never done before. It was going to be new and innovative, but it had potential for failure. What we've ended up seeing is went beyond our expectations in terms of what we were able to pull off. The fidelity and close control you have pulling off street ball control. Mike, who's on the sticks, has talked often about going back to FIFA and then trying to do the same type of stuff in FIFA, and then realizing, oh yeah, right, I can't. But just the idea that it really feels like it's supposed to, like you are trying to bait the defender in, and it really starts to pull in the authenticity of what street football is all about.
So if you're going to talk about the three big differences, so we got lots of people that are, you know, millions of people, more than 10 million folks have already, you know, purchased FIFA 12, big community of FIFA players. If there's three big things that they're going to notice as different when they play the demo and then when they purchase FIFA Street, if they choose to purchase FIFA Street, what are the three big things that they're going to notice, you know, right off the bat?
Yeah, I mean, first of all is just the within the gameplay itself. I mean, it'll feel very different. And fundamentally, you have a lot of the stuff that's going to make it seem like FIFA. I mean, player movement. We have a lot of the physics, momentum, all the stuff you'd expect from a proper football game. Stuff we haven't been able to deliver in the past FIFA Streets, but has certainly been built up over the past few years in FIFA in their award-winning engine. But when you go in, you're going to notice the differences of what street football is all about. You're going to notice the players being locked to their defenders, so you're put into these one-on-one battles all the time, and that's the essence of what street football is about. It's trying to bait your defender in. It's trying to make them do something incorrectly because you fooled them, and then make them move around them to humiliate them further. And that starts with just the movement of the players, and then goes to the street ball control. A lot of the cool stuff we've done with flick-ups, so easy to put the ball into the air using the right bumper. And then just very accessible skill moves that you can do with flicks, and then as you learn the controls a bit more, you can start going to depth and doing gesture-based skill moves. So really, I mean, from a gameplay perspective, it's going to feel very different. What you'll also notice is, you know, the second thing is environments. So we have a lot of different styles of play, and in order to accommodate those styles of play, we needed a lot of different environments. In fact, we have 35 different environments, which is, you know, 5 times more than we've had in FIFA Street 3, for example. And they represent the different styles. So you'll have different size nets, you'll have different size environments, you'll have different surfaces, different wall types, and they all affect the gameplay. I mean, obviously the nets will affect gameplay. You have to aim your shots differently based on the size of the net, but the surface will have different friction on it, the walls will have different bounce off of it, and they all are meant to just provide, again, to the authentic street football feeling and to create a little bit of difference as you go from environment to environment. Something you don't really get when you play in a club football game, because obviously you're playing in a big pitch on grass. Here you're going to play on concrete, on hardwood, on turf, etc. And then the third is just, you know, the level of connectivity. So really FIFA 12 started to up the bar in terms of how connectivity happens with the EA Sports Football Club. We've taken it a step further, and we'll talk a little bit about how we've done our street network, but we've kind of ingrained your friends within the whole experience. So the idea that on every challenge in World Tour, which we'll talk about, has a leaderboard, so you can compare how you're doing against your friends. And then also from the fact that you can upload videos and share those with your friends in the console itself. So, you know, 3 very major things that people should notice when they go into the game.
Good stuff. Well, let's fire it up here, and you can start to take people through some of the basic controls and show one of the environments that's within the game, and then we'll hand off to Mike and Anthony to get a match going as well.
All right. So we'll just jump into Hit the Streets. This is our kind of offline multiplayer, and the first thing you'll notice as you jump into Hit the Streets is the different types of match types we have. So we start off with a few options that you can pick right away. 5-a-side is basically the standard, what you'd expect. If you've seen Nike 5 commercials, this is sort of what you'd expect to see from a street football game. Pana rules is something where you value the pana more than you value scoring. So you get 3 points for a pana, 2 points for beating someone over the head, a point for just beating them on the ground. And you're banking those points. You only get them when you score. So it creates this interesting dynamic. Do I go for more points Maybe you're being greedy, but you are trying to build up your score. Or do I try to cash them in now? And then the flip side is that if someone scores before I can cash them in, I lose all my points. So there is that kind of give and take in terms of when's the best time to score. Futsal, so according to UEFA, one of the fastest growing sports in the world. Our opportunity to kind of bring it to life in a game, I think for the first time, which is pretty cool. An opportunity to kind of transition people from street football into a FIFA experience. This is Gary. Futsal is it's five-a-side but no walls, so you're gonna have to keep your passes, make sure you got your passes correctly. Your shooting has to be more accurate. Again, it's a transition step between going from street football with walls to maybe a FIFA experience. Last man standing, this is something that kind of came up during the course of production. It was just an interesting way for us to play. And we realized it actually translated quite well into the game. And it was basically, you score a goal, you lose a guy. So it's the first team to lose all their players that actually wins. So you start off 4v4, then you go to 3v4 if you score, 2v4. And it's, the most satisfying is if you're able to get all your guys without the other team losing anyone. Ultimately, the ultimate humiliation. But it's quite hard to do. And then you can go in and create your own custom match, and we'll do that right now, just to create, I have a 3v3 match set up, but you can see there's different match types here that you can choose from. You can choose different conditions for how you're going to win. You can choose a different number of players. You can choose whether you have fouls on, depending on the number of players and the match type you choose. So a lot of variety for consumers to kind of choose the match they want. So we'll jump into a 3v3 match. Maybe I'll hand off to Gary as we actually talk about the gameplay itself. And he can walk through some of the controls, and you can see how it looks like in game.
So ultimately, Gary, when you look at combining all the different match types, football, futsal to Pana rules to last man standing, and developing your own custom match, and also just the the basics of 5v5. I mean, it's almost like a limitless number of an unlimited number of different sort of match styles and formats and places, especially when you blend that in with all the different environments as well.
That's right, and I think one of the things we wanted to try and make sure is that there's something in there for everyone. We've shown the game to a lot of people now. You and I travelled all across Europe last week, or the week before, and I think what we found was with all those different types, as again, we've got 1v1 to 6v6, with or without a goalkeeper, Pana match, last man standing, and the freestyle matches. It's interesting to see the different, different people chose different types as their favourite. Some people, like me, they like the very vanilla 5v5. People loved last man standing. It's kind of a breakout hit, I guess. It's kind of a great leveler, the last man standing, because when you get ahead, you lose a man, then you're at a disadvantage. It's almost like a handicap. And a lot of people love that mode. And then there's a lot of love also for the Pana match, where you got to get the nutmeg to score points rather than just scoring goals. So I'll just quickly go into gameplay here.
It's 3v3.
I'll just quickly, is one of my favourite venues is...
So as Gary's spinning through all the different venues, obviously you can see the football complex, the Adidas venue, Dam Square, which replicates a cage environment. It's obviously popular in UK street football and a big part of the sport as well. So.
Yeah, so we have, I don't know if it's been mentioned, we have 37 different environments. And obviously with all the different match types, we needed environments that suited all those different, like the pitch you would play 1v1 on is not the same size of pitch, or not the same type of pitch as you would play 6v6 on. So we wanted to make sure that we had all those different combinations. So I'll just run you quickly through the basics of the game. I don't know if you've seen FIFA Street before, but if you have, this will be a quick refresher. And the first thing you notice is when I move the left stick up and down and forward and backwards, you'll see that the player always faces the defender, and the defender, when he moves, always faces the dribbler. And again, that's to highlight the 1v1 nature of the sport. One of the things we know from street football, we want to make an authentic street football game. And the core thing about street football is this 1v1 nature. It's a very small pitch, there's always a defender in front of you. People like to express themselves, like to maybe humiliate the defender, and so they always want to be in this 1v1 situation, dribbler versus defender. And so we took the decision to completely redo our dribbling mechanics of FIFA Street from FIFA. And one of the first things we did was this new dribbling system where the dribbler would always face the defender. And additionally on the dribbling side, One of the things you'll notice if you watch street football, if you've ever seen it on YouTube, the very best street footballers, they quite often go a standing position and they manipulate the ball left, right, forwards, backwards, try and draw in the defender so that they can then perform a trick, change of pace, change of direction to beat them. So that's something that we wanted to make sure that we had in our game. And how you do it in FIFA Street is you hold the left trigger. So the right trigger is sprint and the left trigger is what we call street ball control. It's almost like you're holding the brake, as if it was a driving game, accelerate on the right trigger, brake on the left trigger. And then when you've got the left trigger held, or the brake held, when you move the left stick, it moves the ball, it doesn't move the player. So you can see here how I can manipulate the ball very quickly, very responsibly, potentially draw the defender in, and then when he gets close, change of pace, change of direction, and I'll get by him. So that's street ball control, one of our big innovations for FIFA Street, and the response so far has been very positive on that. Moving on to some of the other controls. On the right bumper in RB or R1 in FIFA Street is to get the ball in the air. So if I just flick it, I'll get the ball in the air. If I continue to tap it, I can do juggling. I can pull it up to my knees, and I can even do a neck stall back to juggling. And the thing about the RB is, as we know from street football, people love to get the ball in the air. They love to humiliate the defender by getting the ball in the air and maybe flicking it over the defender's head. And that's something that we wanted to make sure that we had in our game. So RB will get the ball in the air from any position. So from any dribbling pose or any dribbling position, you can press RB to get the ball in the air. So if I'm dribbling up, I can just press RB, get the ball in the air. If I'm dribbling forward, I can press RB, get the ball in the air. So that's RB. On the left bumper, we have what we call the flare or the style modifier. If I hold the left bumper and press shoot, I get a flare shot. So you can do that with passes or shots or lob passes. Again, add a little bit more style into your play by holding the left bumper when you press pass, shoot or lob pass. Obviously, street football wouldn't be street football without the tricks. And tricks in FIFA Street are performed with the right stick. You don't have to hold a modifier like you do in FIFA, it's just the right stick. And what we've tried to do with the tricks in FIFA Street is try and make the gestures as simple as possible, but make the gestures ubiquitous. By that I mean you can perform the same gesture in different dribbling positions and get essentially the same result, potentially with a little bit more flair in some of the positions. But again, try and make it easy for people to pick up and be able to get the trick. So as an example, if I do step overs, I can do step overs from stand. I can do step overs from side step or back pedal. I can even do step overs when juggling the ball. So again, you can do these same moves from different positions and you get the same basic result, just slightly a variant thereof. Again, if I try the roulette, you can see there I can do a roulette from stand. I can do a roulette, sorry, not a roulette, a rainbow from juggle. Again, essentially the same result, just a more flamboyant version thereof. And one of the positions we have in our game is stand on ball. If you press R3, you can stand on ball, and we can also do a different rainbow from stand on ball. Similarly, things like roulettes. So I can do a roulette from stand, and then if I do it from short matches.
The custom match with short halves. So.
And then I can also do the roulette from stand on ball position, and you get something a little bit more flamboyant. But you can understand the kind of basics of just doing the same gesture from different positions, you get different outcomes. And then we've got lots and lots of tricks in there. If you look on YouTube, you'll see some of the ones we have. Just to highlight one of the more crazy ones we have, imagine you've taken on the whole team, you're on the goal line, you just want to tap the ball into the back of the net. You can get down on your hands and knees and head the ball in the goal. So just to give you a little bit of a flavour of how the tricks work and some of the more flamboyant tricks that we do have.
Good stuff. Well, why don't we hand off to Anthony and Mike, who can go a little bit more head-to-head here and set up a new match and be able to do that. Sid, let's talk about the teams that are in the game. We've had a lot of questions that have been coming in over the social stream about that. Yep. You know, the types of teams that we've got, the choice in terms of, obviously we've got Argentina, Spain, so national teams obviously are a big part of the game. How led you to choose the teams that are in the game? And then after that, I want to talk about something that hasn't really been talked about a lot, is the authentic street footballers that are in the games.
So in terms of the teams, we targeted the top leagues across England, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, and the MLS. So we have the top leagues in those regions and all the teams within those leagues. And the reason for that is we really wanted to focus on players that would probably have skills that maybe suited street football a bit better. So really like top flight players. And then just agreements that we have mean that we have to include all the teams in those leagues. And we also think that it's going to be fun for a lot of players to kind of just jump in casually and start playing with, see what it looks like to play Arsenal versus Chelsea on the rooftop in Shanghai, for example. We know that there's a community that kind of wants to play that style of game. We do have national teams, as you mentioned. We have 20 national clubs in the game. And then why don't we just jump into street footballers, because we also do have street footballer clubs that we've brought in.
Yeah, Gary, why don't you take that one? So, you know, maybe going back to some of the motion capture that's happened for the game, and the decision to include, you know, what I think is a very unique mix of having, you know, top stars of real football in the game, but also blending those in with the street stars. Yeah,
I mean, so back at the very beginning, back in pre-pro for this game, you know, like maybe 15, 16 months ago now, we started, you know, investigating. We knew we wanted to make an authentic street football game. Well, what does that mean? We sent a team of researchers across the globe to figure out, you know, how street football is played in Rio, in Amsterdam, in London. And we found a lot of things out there. We took interviews, we took pictures and video of the environments that we're playing in, and that helped refine what we were building. But we also wanted to make sure that those people we spoke to, those superstars of street football, we wanted to make sure that we had those people in our game as well. So we partnered with a group called the Freestyle Football Federation, one of the street football global organisations, and through them we got in contact with, I don't know, I think it's 25 or 30 of the world's top street
40 even, yeah.
40 of the world's top street footballers, and from that group, all those guys went in the game, but we also took I think it was 5 of them all together in 2 separate motion capture sessions to the studio here in Vancouver. We've got one of the best motion capture facilities in the world, and we spent, you know, I think it was 2 weeks in total. We got a couple of guys from Europe. They spent a week here in the motion capture studio, and we learned a lot from them, you know, understanding what street football means to them. And one of the things that we really got from them is the ultimate humiliation in their world is the pana, is the nutmeg. You should see the things that they do. He looks completely ridiculous moving around the field. He just looks ridiculous with his legs closed because he doesn't want to get panned, he doesn't want to get nutmegged. And we learned a lot about that. We learned a lot about defending in street football from those guys, and obviously they did their amazing tricks for us as well. So I think that was core to us. We're building an authentic street football game. We wanted to make sure that we had the right talent in our motion capture studio, and B, we reflected that in our game.
Good stuff. So let's get some names. Like, who are some of these guys that are actually in the game? Because obviously it'd be a kind of cool thing for folks that are watching the stream today, which is, you know, as they're seeing the game being played, also go onto YouTube, because that's one of the coolest things that exists in the video world is, you know, real life street football and some of the sick moves that these guys can do out there.
Sure. So a couple of the guys that came, I think the first ones to come were Sean and Soufiane. And they were the guys that came in first to do a bunch of the capture for us. They were here for a week, and, you know, pulled off a lot of really ridiculous moves that, you know, I still don't believe are actually real. But I saw them with my own eyes.
I think they humiliated Sid and I the first time we saw them. They came up to us and they shook our hands. They did a trick where they somehow made us believe that they'd kicked the ball behind us, so we turned round to see where the ball was, and it was actually up his shirt. Yeah. And he just humiliated us right off the bat, which was a great start.
Kind of set the tone. And then we knew we had the right guys. So we have and then, you know, those are just 2 of the guys that came in, and we also have guys who are like sort of legends, I guess, of street football. So like a guy like Edward Van Gils, for example, the Hitman, as people might know him. He'll be part of the game. Man, trying to think of on the spot all the names, but
I spent quite a bit of time recently looking at Jayzinho.
Jayzinho,
who's a North American guy. And a real legend in street football in Miami and New York and things like that, and some absolutely amazing videos out there. And then, you know, taking that and then transferring it to the game and being able to, you know, play them within the game in these kind of environments almost made those videos come to life a little bit more.
Tuzani, yeah, and Steve Elias, like, yeah, a bunch of guys all from around the world too. So I mean, we didn't just settle on one region and try to get as many people. The organization that Gary mentioned really set us up with people from all over the world.
So we're playing in you know, a sort of mid-sized environment here. You know, 2v2 with a goalie. You know, with walls and it's kind of a harder surface. You know, Gary, what what were you trying to achieve with having that many different venues and environments within the game, and how the different rule types, really affect how you play and how you approach the game from a more strategic perspective?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing was obviously authenticity. We wanted to make sure that street football is played in these different ways across the world. We wanted to make sure that we incorporated that, but also from a depth perspective, from a gameplay perspective, it changes the way you have to play the game. If you play futsal, as Sid mentioned futsal earlier, where there is no walls in futsal, you have to be more careful about how you pass. You have to be more careful about how you shot. You don't just take shots from distance because you know it's going to go out of play. You have to work your way into a shooting position a bit more like you would in FIFA. Similarly with 6v6, it's a more of a tactical game because there are more players. But then the 1v1, and we've got loading bays and play parks where you play the 1v1. It's more just about expressing yourself. It's all about the tricks. It's all about the pana, the air beat. Similarly with the freestyle matches, we want to make sure that there was something there for everyone. We want to make sure there was more depth. We want to make sure there was gameplay depth and gameplay variety. So I think that was the key thing for us. And obviously for World Tour as well, which we haven't talked about World Tour yet, but we needed all these different environments and these game types to sell you on the story and the atmosphere and the emotion of the World Tour game mode, which we'll talk about in a moment.
Yeah, good stuff. Let's talk quickly because we'll want to get people set for this in terms of what they're going to experience with the demo when it comes out on the 28th of this month, Sid. What's included in the demo, and what kind of things are people going to experience?
So the demo is actually a great way to sort of get into FIFA Street. So we know that part of what we need to do with the demo is try to make up maybe for past history on FIFA Street. You can see in the forums, and certainly we've talked to fans where there's a little bit of skepticism still. So we wanted to make sure that the demo kind of really helped capture some of the essence. So you're going to get right off the bat, like you can play hit the street mode, 5-a-side games, and you'll be able to use, I think, it's Man City. We have the Adidas All-Star Team, which is available in the demo, but available only by pre-order in the main game. But it's a chance to kind of try it out and play it in the demo. A street footballer team, and there's another team on
Inter Milan or AC Milan?
AC Milan. Yeah, that's right. So you'll be able to play those teams 5-a-side. But what you can also do, which we think is kind of cool, is start your World Tour career in the demo. So you jump into World Tour, and we'll show you kind of what World Tour is. But in the demo, what it is it's the intro flow where you can create yourself, start playing a match, and have your friends kind of show up if they've created themselves in their own demo experiences. And now you can create your team of you and your friends' characters, and play a couple of matches even within the World Tour and start leveling up your characters. So you can get in up to 4 or 5 levels within the demo, start unlocking tricks, or growing your attributes, and really start to build a team that will then transition to the main game. And part of what's cool about this too is all the teams that are created in the demo are uploaded to our EA servers. And so day one when you're buying the game, you know, when we get to World Tour we'll talk about it, but all the teams that you play in the main game are other created teams. So you know, we already have a lot of teams that have been leveled up that have had sort of different characteristics and unique traits assigned to them from day one, and be able to play teams that have already had something done to them.
Why don't we have a quick look at the game that Anthony and Mike are playing here right now, which is the Pana rules, and how the different dynamic of scoring and the objectives of the game are working, because it looks very different obviously than the scoreboard you see in a FIFA 12.
Yeah, so you can see obviously first off there is no goalkeeper, so you'll sometimes see one of the outfielders position themselves like a goalkeeper. Again, this is very authentic, very true to street football. But what you'll see up in the top of the scoreboard when we get back to the main match is you'll see there's 2 scores. There's the bank at the bottom, and then there's your actual score. So how it works is if you perform a beat, a pana or an air beat, then you'll score a point on the bottom, but you don't get those points added to your total score until you score a goal. So you have to perform some pana, perform some air beat, and perform some regular beat, bank up some points, and then score a goal, and then you'll get your points, and it'll also wipe away the opponent's points. There's a little bit of a tactical thing there, whereby if you see your opponent has banked 10 points, you maybe just want to score a goal to get 1 point, just so that you can get rid of your opponent's points. But otherwise, if you're losing by a margin, you maybe want to try a pana or an air beat in order to get some more points, so when you score a goal you can catch up more. So that's kind of the idea with it. It's a little bit tactical, a little bit of fun, and as I said, it's I guess it's one of the, I don't know if it was a surprise hit for us, this one, but it was certainly one of the hits from the tour that we did the other week. And things can quickly turn into an 18-0
that's right.
Yeah.
drubbing that's happening right now.
I guess street football is about humiliation.
Oh, it is!
Well, if there's any way to come back, it's to score a goal, like that. That's very cool. Very cool. Very messy-esque. So another cool thing that we're seeing right now, which would definitely be a difference from what people are used to in FIFA 12, as an example, are the kits that the guys are wearing. So maybe talk about their inclusion and what they kind of bring to the game.
Sure. So there's two ways to choose how you want to do your kit. You can use their official licensed kits. But being street football, we also give you the chance to play with sort of a training gear. So if you look at Man U and Chelsea here, they're wearing sort of club training gear in this case. Some other ones will just have like other kind of training tops, hoodies, jackets, t-shirts, and you can just play with those. So when you're playing in an environment like this, you don't want to see them wearing their proper team kits. It doesn't make any sense. However, if you're playing in maybe a futsal environment, a more organized type of environment, then it does kind of feel right to see them in their proper kits. So giving the user again the choice is how they want to play the games. By default, if you choose this type of match, you're going to see these types of kits, the training gear, and then you can change it if you want.
This is quickly starting to look like an American football score, not a street football score, based on the way it's being run up here and stuff like that. And what I love about this venue, and Gary, maybe talk to, just the surface, the art style, the crowds, and the way that they're interacting with the game and things like that. I mean, again, this will be something brand new for the regular FIFA fan.
Yeah, I mean, so a part of, obviously, we want these different environments. We talked a little bit about how we wanted them to play differently, how you wanted your experience to be different. So the ball physics is going to be different. If it's a hard court, if it's a dirt court, if it's an indoor court, these physics are going to be slightly different. If it's AstroTurf, it's going to be a slightly different physics, as are the physics on the wall. So here you can see that it's a fence. The physics of a fence is going to be different from the physics of a concrete wall, etc., etc. There's also different ball physics. We have a normal ball, a flat ball, and a light ball. So you can choose, what kind of ball physics you want to play with. Obviously, the idea being, like, if you're playing in the park, sometimes you go down the park with your friends and the ball that you have with you is a little bit flat, and so you can play with that. You still play with that ball. Sometimes street footballers like that. It's easier to do tricks and things like that with a slightly flatter ball. So again, it adds to the experience, adds to the different. You can see the different size of goals there. All the environments will have different goal sizes, and one of my favourite environments is actually called the Z5 environment, which is a real life environment in the south of France, where Zidane and Adidas have got together in a partnership and made this football centre where people can go and play five-a-side football. It's called the Z5. So it's one of my favourite, as taller goals, so you can score top corner and things like that. So it's a slightly different experience, probably a more FIFA experience. But again, we wanted to make sure that the goal sizes, the physics, the number of walls, the style of the walls, the pitch size was all different, so you get a different experience on those different environments.
Good stuff. As we recover from the 21-4 score, Sid, why don't you grab the controller as well, and we'll have a look inside World Tour, because we've obviously spent a lot of time today talking about the core game modes, the gameplay, the tricks and environments and stuff, but a big part of the FIFA Street proposition for this year, and part of what makes it very unique, is the World Tour and some of the modes that are within with the online space. So that really starts, Sid, doesn't it, with World Tour?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as I mentioned, the World Tour if you are able to go and download the demo next week, I encourage you to do so. You can start your World Tour there. I have a World Tour already started, so we're going to jump in to an already started, and I'll just swing back to the beginning. So what I did is I started my career in sort of northeastern U.S. I lived there for a while, so it was just kind of nostalgic for me to do so. And you can see different types of events on the map. This is the first map you'll be faced with, depending on what territory you start in. So you can choose to start from either England, France, Italy, Germany, Spain, or US or Canada. And then your split could even a more specific region within that. So again, like I said, I did Northeast. I could have done the west of US. I could have picked Central or London in the UK, or different regions of the UK. And then you're presented with 3 challenges and a tournament. So challenges are these small little dots that you see, and you'll see they have the different rule types. So these are the more unconventional styles, so that what Gary was talking about in terms of the pattern rules, the freestyle matches. You're going to see those in here. You'll see some that are a little more conventional 4v4, but again, there are less players, they're kind of cooler, different environments. And then tournaments are meant to be more organized, structured types of events. Challenges are one-off matches. You play them once, and then they help you level up your guy. They're just used to get unlockables. They have leaderboards. So it creates a lot of competition there. But the tournaments are sort of your general means of progression through the experience. And as mentioned before, like all the teams you're going to play when you go in here are other teams that have been created in your region and have been downloaded into your experience. So it's cool that you're going to go into these different matches and get to play other created teams, kind of see how they've leveled up their guys, what gear they may have unlocked, and kind of motivate you to kind of do better yourself and work through the experience. So as I completed the challenges in this case, you can see on the right, it kind of keeps track of what I've done. So I've only been able to complete this one on the silver level, so I've unlocked some t-shirts, I've unlocked some other gear, and you can see that for all the different challenges, what gear I've unlocked. You can also see the leaderboard in this case. It took me 4 minutes and 40 seconds to actually complete this challenge. When I have friends who actually play and complete the challenge also, we're going to see their time show up, and if someone beats me, I can come back to the experience and try to beat them again. Create some replayability there.
So as you sort of flick through that and maybe move up to the next level, Gary, I mean that social element of street football obviously is a huge part of it. I mean, it's football by its nature is a social sport, but street football maybe even more so, just because of the culture, the music, the style, the personalities that are in it, and the fact that it kind of lives apart from regular 11v11 football. What kind of things were you trying to accomplish with the game on that, and what are sort of the things that people wouldn't expect to get out of sort of the social and connected experiences with Street that they're, again, maybe not expecting?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, as you said, Street's a very social sport. You see that on YouTube. People take videos, they share it with your friends and share it with the world, and that's something that we wanted to incorporate into our game. And we tried to do that a number of ways. But the first way is obviously, as Sid's mentioned, when you create yourself in the game and then you create your team, that's all uploaded to the EA Sports server. So I create myself in FIFA Street, and then when I create a team, maybe I can download Sid's player, put them in my team. The idea, I've created a team of friends, and then that's all uploaded to the EA Sports servers. And so when I'm playing through World Tour, and you can see here, Sid's team has got some of the dev team in here somewhere.
This is.
So if you want to add, if Sid tries to add a player, you see, it gives him the opportunity to download a friend's player. So if Jeff Antwi's our gameplay designer there, if he wants to add Jeff's player, because Jeff's already created that player, he can do so. So then we've got this kind of social aspect here of the game, because you have created a team with your friends, and then when your team performs well, your friend is going to get notified with that through something we call the FIFA Street network. So you'll see in the top corner there's a notification bar. On any screen in the game, you can press the back button, and the FIFA Street network will slide on from the side. And the idea behind the FIFA Street network is that it gives you a way to compete and compare with your friends, and also just share information. So you can see here on the wall, you'll get notifications when your friends do things. Obviously in this case, it's filled with Sid stuff, but the idea being, if Jeff Antwi here was one of Sid's friends there, if Jeff Antwi had leveled up his character, performed well in World Tour, done some cool things online, Sid would have got a notification here. Even if Jeff had uploaded a video, you'd also get notifications, because one of the cool things about Street Network is that you can view your friends' videos. So if I do something cool, do a cool trick, score a cool goal, I upload it, Sid gets to see that through the FIFA Street Network. This is just a placeholder video, but you can see there some form of rainbow and Robona shot. And then also, and finally, you get the leaderboard. So not only can I view the videos, I can get their news, I can compete with them on leaderboards. So you can see a character level leaderboard, you can see division standings, which is in online, we'll talk about that in a little second, and also your EA Sports Football Club. Everything you do in FIFA Street will also contribute to your EA Sports Football Club points, and you can compete with your friends right there in the Street Network. So that's one of the ways it's social. And then if we go back to World Tour, obviously I think Sid's already mentioned that when you play tournaments on World Tour, you're actually playing against real people's teams. So when you play the five-a-side tournament in Notre Dame, France, you'll be playing against other European people's teams who've also qualified for this European stage. So you're playing against real people's teams again, trying to create an atmosphere, trying to create an emotion around this journey that you're taking your team on, just like you would in real life. We know that from research that people play sports games to fulfill their sporting dreams, and maybe in a wider sense, people play video games to fulfill some dream or another. And so that's the kind of concept behind this. We wanted to take you on this journey, you and a team of friends on a journey, competing against other people to become the best street football team in the world.
Good stuff. And another feature, because you already highlighted the connectivity with EA Sports Football Club, and the ability to view your friends and stay connected to their activity in the game. Another piece that's come across from FIFA 12, which obviously has been a huge hit with people playing that game, is the head-to-head seasons. So maybe talk about how head-to-head seasons works and what you tried to accomplish in sort of taking that core popular element of FIFA 12 and bringing it to the street environment.
Right. So again, I mean, under the mantra of authentic street football, what we really wanted to do was create an experience where, you know, we could take stuff that you've done in other areas of the game. So building a team in World Tour, for example, and taking that team, the team that you've created, the team that you've leveled up, and bringing them into that head-to-head experience. So you're in seasons play, you're going to use that team, and you're going to compete with other players' created teams, and in a head-to-head manner. And for those that are familiar with the FIFA 12 seasons mode, you're put into a division. For us, it's Division 10, and you can progress either up or down the leaderboard. Yeah, if you don't mind going in. You can progress up or down the leaderboard depending on how you do within 10 game sets. So there's motivation. Every 10 games there's some consequence. Either you manage to stay in your division, or you can see in this green area, that's your promotion zone, and the red area, that's your relegation zone. 15 divisions in total, and people will sort of, depending on the way they play and how good they are, they'll be able to kind of find their level and be able to compete against like people within that level, which is very nice and very motivating. You're always going to get a very even matchup. One of the key motivations for us also in being able to take your actual team into the seasons mode was it creates a lot more kind of dynamic play. So because you can, one thing I didn't mention is that you actually get to level up your team through the online season. So you can level up your team in World Tour by playing those matches, but at any point you can jump into online seasons and you can continue to play, and at the end of a match by being stylish, you still get to level up your team. So what we find is this creates a lot more interesting gameplay, because even someone that's losing maybe by a couple of goals doesn't maybe feel they might be able to win that match. It's still staying very competitive because there's a motivation for them to play stylishly, to play well, and to continue to level up their players, to level up their team. So, we create this really cool, interesting dynamic of being authentic. You're not playing with teams that don't really make sense in the world of street football. You're playing with the team that you create. It's you and your friends. And for those that do want to play alongside their stars, there is a way to do that. If you play in World Tour and kind of get to the third and fourth stages, you're going to start playing against street footballer teams. You're going to play against licensed teams. You can add those players if you beat them in challenges. So you can play alongside your stars. We know that there's an aspect of our fan base that does want that. We also know that a huge amount of people are looking for a new experience and a new way to play online, a new challenge to play online, and want it to be a more authentic experience where it feels more proper. So I mean, the whole concept is really based on the idea that there's 5 of us right here. Let's just form a team. Let's go down to our local league and just start. And then what becomes more of a fantasy is that, okay, we could actually move our way, if it's in World Tour, to become a world street champion within the online mode to get into the first division of street football.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I think sorry to interrupt, something we never mentioned on the World Tour was it's another aspect that speaks to online, is that every tournament can also be played online. Right, yeah. So when I try to enter a tournament, it'll ask you whether you want to play that tournament on easy level, normal level, or whether you can play online. So again, that's another cool thing that hopefully the core gamers will enjoy about our game. But as I mentioned, as you're going through World Tour, you're leveling up your player, you're leveling up your team, unlocking new skill moves, new tricks, but you can also do that when you take your team online with Street Seasons also. Just to wrap up the online section, there's also online team play, which we're hoping is going to be a big hit with people. 5v5, you're always involved in the play, you're always close to the ball, you've always got a chance to score or get the ball or tackle. So you're always involved, and hopefully people will love that mode of play also.
So the worst player doesn't always have to be stuck playing goalkeeper in a full 11v11 match like in FIFA. So that's cool. Well, we'll let Anthony and Mike drop into another match and see what kind of score gets run up on the humiliation scale this time. But Sid, you brought up a great point about creating a unique sort of game mode and sort of feel to the product by having you playing on your own created team that you've invested a lot of time in. You've brought in players from your friends' teams and things like that. And as you start unlocking things and going through your world tour, next thing you know, you could have Gerard Piqué or Wayne Rooney playing on your squad.
Yep.
In the kit that you've designed,
That's
in the
right.
environments that you want to playing according to the rule styles and modes that you want to.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, we know, for the core group of guys on the team that were building this game, we really gravitate to the idea that we can just, we spent a lot of time creating and recreating ourselves within the game, so we can download each other into our teams and play as those players. And that's the way we love to play. when we go and do play tests, we do understand that there are gamers who are really looking for that experience. The reason it's called FIFA Street is that we have the authenticity in terms of the licenses, and we can bring these players in, and people love the idea that they could play with Rooney, and they could play with Rooney in this futsal environment or in a skateboard park that we saw earlier. And so we wanted to give that option to people, but we don't want to make it in such a way that is the way to be the best. Being able to level up your players is an equal way to make your team great. In addition, so by the time you're at the point where you can add a Rooney to your squad, or any licensed player to your squad, you will have leveled up your players also to a point that they're quite good, and you're actually making a decision: do I really need them? For me, I'd take them on because it's more of a badge. I can say like, hey, look at who I managed to get onto my squad, but I don't necessarily want to play with Rooney on the pitch. He's almost like an icon for me, an avatar.
Good stuff. So we've got about sort of 12-15 minutes left in the event, and we've got more questions coming in than is humanly possible. We could pull a 24-hour telethon here on FIFA Street to answer them all, but we're going to try and work through as many of them as we can over the next little while. A lot of questions about Ultimate Team. So is there the mechanic or Ultimate Team mode that people know from FIFA 12? Is that included in the game, or is there something kind of similar?
So one of the things that when Sid and I started working on this project, as I said, maybe 14-15 months ago, one of the core things that we wanted to stress to everyone is that we want to focus on what really, really matters to this game. We wanted to focus on resurrecting this franchise. We wanted to focus on core game quality. And thankfully the studio has allowed us to do that and not had to distract us with anything. And that was one of the reasons behind the FAT decision. We understand that there are people who maybe want some sort of Ultimate Team on Street, but right now we wanted to focus on resurrecting things. We wanted to minimise distractions for the team so they could focus on the core quality of the game. And unfortunately some decisions had to be made to allow us to do that, and the Ultimate Team one was one of those. It's maybe something that we can look at in the future if we ever decide to make another FIFA Street.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the pure mechanic of Ultimate Team, as Gary mentions, that was a decision we made in order to make sure that the gameplay and core game was actually significantly better than anything we produced in the past. The concept, though, of being able to add players to your squad, as we already talked about, that still exists. So be able to do that through challenges instead. So compete in the challenges, use skill-based play to be able to get those players onto your squad. If you play on a harder level, you'll have a better chance of getting better players when you compete in those challenges. So no, we don't have it in the sense that you can go buy card packs. We do have the concept, though, in the sense that you can add these players to your squad and create a squad of licensed players if that's what you so choose.
Right. So that sort of you creating your own squad, designing them the way that you want in terms of play style, kit, logos,
right.
All those sort of things. That's
those elements are there. It's just not through like a store interface or that.
Okay. Yeah. We've also had a few questions about whether or not there's a creation center feature within the game, and I guess as you start your world tour and create your own team, there's a lot of elements of that. Maybe not called creation center in the same way that people know it from FIFA, but same kind of mechanics, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, for us, creation center probably means something a bit different. There's a lot kind of more customizable aspects, we think, within the game, and it's a big part of the kind of experience to kind of grow your team and grow your players individually. So being able to unlock skill moves, attributes, we have different clothing options, and you're unlocking those as you play through the game, and even not just street gear but also team gear, so be able to put your crest on your kit, put name and number on your kit, the type of kit you get to wear, you can customize colors, change your logos up. I mean, there's so many levels of customization, all within the game experience. Again, one of the things, when we started the project, we really wanted to focus on the in-game experience, because we realized that a lot of the gamers that were going to get this are not the type of gamer who are going back and forth from console to computer. They're going to stay with the console. They're going to want an experience that's just enriching within that experience, within a set of time they've set aside for playing this game. And so again, that's part of why we have the Street Network and the videos uploading and downloading through the console experience. We've already had video uploads in all our games. You can go to EA Sports Football World to see these videos, but for us it was important that we actually brought it back into the experience.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we haven't mentioned as well is, even though we don't have the Creation Center, a lot of the Creation Center functionality you can use to create your own team on the console, but then even in Play Now, in Kickoff, and Hit the Streets, you can download your friend's teams into that experience. So if your friend has created a different team, you can download his team and play against his team in the Play Now and the Kickoff floor.
Good stuff. We've got obviously a lot of core guys who are on the on the chat today who are asking very in-depth questions about online team play and sort of, what kind of clubs like, functionality. So we did kind of drop into it a bit, Gary, but maybe give a little bit more color in terms of what people know from online team play today within FIFA 12 and what elements of that are going to come over to Street, or what's going to be, more unique.
Yeah, so clubs was something that we debated for quite a while and back in pre-pro about whether we wanted it or not. And the general feeling was that FIFA Street's not a game that people are going to, live and breathe, I guess, the same way as they are FIFA. It's one of those, I hate to use the word casual, but it's more of a pick up and play, have fun. There is depth, there is a lot of depth there, but it's not maybe something that people are going to arrange with their friends and things like that. So we knew from FIFA that the number of people who played clubs was actually quite low, and obviously with us trying to resurrect this franchise, we wanted to put our money, our capacity, our time on features that could appeal to as broad an audience as possible. I think the take up on clubs is in the single digits percentage wise on FIFA, so although it's a great feature, it's one that hardcore people tend to enjoy because they have to arrange timing with their friends and all these different things. And so we chose to put instead to focus on drop-in, if you like, so team play drop-in, so you can just drop into the game you play and we track your stats and how well you've done, how well your character's done. So that's the decision we made, and hopefully people can understand why we made that decision. It allowed us to focus our time on elements that we thought were wider reaching and also more core to the experience.
Good stuff. A couple of questions, because obviously there's some folks that are on the stream today who are EA Sports season ticket subscribers. They purchase that to get their early access to the games or the 20% off on the PDLC like Ultimate Team. So Sid, how does season ticket interact with Street?
Yeah, so Street actually ended up becoming kind of a bonus for those that got season ticket, a nice bonus too. So while we don't have the PDLC in our game, Street itself is sort of the thing that people weren't originally going to get. So for those that got season ticket, you'll get Street, FIFA Street 3 days early in North America. I think that's the Friday the 10th. And then in Europe, I guess it would probably be the 13th, I guess.
Actually, it'll be on the 10th as well.
Oh,
so we're opening season ticket access across the globe starting on March 10th.
Oh, so that's great. So, for everyone that has season ticket, they can start playing on the 10th. If you've created your team in the demo, you have a head start even within the main game now on other people who are waiting before they get the full product.
Okay, good stuff. A couple of questions have also come in about, and again, these are sort of taking elements of FIFA 12 and what's going to be transferred into Street. Commentators. So obviously there's no commentators in the game, so to speak, but the audio and the presentation and the kind of the environment and feeling that's created, Gary, is very different than what people would typically see through FIFA 12.
Yeah, I guess that was one of the challenges that we had again in pre-pro. We were concerned about, we didn't feel like commentary was the right way to go for us. We didn't feel it was very authentic, so we knew there would be a void there in the audio, and we wanted to make sure that we could fill that. So the guys did a lot of work on player calls and making sure that the players called out and reacted to play as it was happening. We also added some crowd calls and things like that. So we worked hard on trying to make sure that we filled that audio enriched the audio with something that felt authentic, but it also felt there was a sense of atmosphere there. So. And obviously we have small pitches like this one. This is the rooftop in Shanghai, and then we have stadiums as well. So we had this kind of diverse audio range that we had to deal with as well. So that was something that we wanted to make sure that we rewarded people for progressing in the game, unlocking those larger environments. They were rewarded with better audio. And then eventually when you get to these stadium environments, you will have an MC or a PA announcer who will call out the start of the game, call out goals and call out key moments, but there won't be a commentator in the way that there is in FIFA. We didn't feel that was authentic, and we went with something that we thought was more Street. And as I said, it was a challenge, but I think we got there in the end, and we've got some good stuff there.
Good stuff. So we're watching, this is the first time through this broadcast that we've done it, is look at a last man standing match. Sid, give us a look behind the curtain about how teams develop new features and things like that, about, where did the idea come from, and when did you sort of realize that you had something cool going on here?
Back in pre-pro, there was a bunch of ideas that got tossed around. We prototyped several ideas. There's certainly more commonly known ways of playing street football, or you know, if you just play a pickup with your friends, there's different rule sets that are more widely, commonly known. Some became technical challenges, some became actually fun challenges, like they just didn't translate well into gameplay. Maybe Gary, if you remember where this actually idea...
Yeah, so I think, well, as I said in pre-pro, we had these weird ideas. We were looking at TV programs like Wayne Rooney's Street School and things like this, and coming up with, you know, everything was on the table at that point. Is this game going to be about running around the street, kicking the ball into garbage bins and stuff like that? So we had loads of ideas, and I think it was Maki Kato, I think one of our Japanese engineers, he came up with some cool ideas for how we can, you know, mix it up a little bit. And there was loads of ideas, as Sid said. We prototyped a game which in Scotland we call Knockout Wembley. I think other people they call World Cup. There's only one goal with a goalkeeper, but there's 2 teams and you play. We prototyped that. It turned out not to be so much fun. We prototyped an idea which we called Bombers back in Scotland, but it's 1v1. You have to shoot at the goalie, but you can't cross the halfway line. So you can run up the halfway line, take a shot, and your goalie, then you're shooting, then your goalie, then you're shooting. And it was interesting, but it didn't turn out to be as fun as we wanted. But this one, we actually never put this one into the game until quite late on. Yeah. And then we realised that it was so much fun. For me, I kind of regret that we didn't do a little bit more of it. But so yeah, I think it was Maki that came up with it, and then we put it in the game. I don't know, mid-development or
that's right.
After mid-development, and you took it to the UK,
and
right?
I think that's when we really realised that we had something. Was when we were in the UK, and then we were kind of showing it off, but not really, and then people just kept jumping on it, and we had a bunch of, I think it was Dutch journalists that came, and they wouldn't get off. They just kept playing. They grabbed beers. They just, you know, ignored the other games that were there, just played FIFA Street, Last Man Standing, for hours. And at that point, we're like, okay, well, there's definitely something here.
I remember that event very clearly. I remember my feeling like my personal safety was in jeopardy, trying to take the discs away, trying to take the controllers out of their hands, and the pleadings for one more match. So that's yeah, that was a very kind of almost transformative moment of realizing, you know, the cool nature of what's going on, and then obviously you end up with this kind of dynamic where it's 3 versus 1, and you know, not necessarily a fair match, but certainly like an entertaining match. So, so we're just gonna wrap up, get a couple closing comments from the guys about things. Gary, you know, maybe we'll just ask you, when you look at the finished product here, and as people are only, you know, 6 days away from getting their hands on the demo on the 28th, you know, what are you most proud of in terms of the game you've created?
I think it's a game that I am very proud of. I mean, I've worked in games for quite a long time now, and sometimes I find it tough to promote my games because I knew the game could have been better than it was, but this isn't one of those, and it's something I'm very proud of. I think the most proud thing for me is probably the street ball control. We've been told by people that they think this is the best new mechanic in a football game in like 10 years or something like that. And it's very intuitive, it's very simple, very easy to understand, very easy to get to grips with and to exploit, and I think that's the thing that I'm probably most proud of here. I mean, there's lots of things to be proud of. We've made 37 different environments in a product that usually has 7. I mean, FIFA Street 3 had 7. I don't remember the numbers from FIFA Street 1 or 2, but I would believe that it's probably less than 15, and we've got 37, and there's lots of different things to be proud of, but I think the street ball control is probably it for me.
Sid?
Gary stole a bunch of them. Trying to see if there's something different. I mean, to me, it was being able to get the variety of game styles too.
I'll tell you what it is for you, Sid.
Okay.
Sid's the guy that came up with the Street Network system. I think for me, it's something that we should probably take into all our sports games. But obviously, not that I'm saying we are doing that. But I think it's a very elegant solution to the communication or the social communication platform, and that was something that Sid came up with. So, Sid, you should say that.
All right, that.
Okay. Absolutely. Well, I know from, you know, the folks here at the Burnaby studio and following the path of how FIFA Street's been created over the last, you know, 16, 18 months, the opportunity for us to show it off to, you know, more and more people throughout some of the activities we've been doing over the last few months, and then obviously really getting into a big way next week when the demo launches on Xbox Live and PlayStation Network on the 28th. Will be fantastic. So we're going to wrap things up. We're going to thank Sid and Gary for their time today. Thank Mike and Anthony for leading us through the gameplay stuff. And showing us some of the really, really cool features that are within the game. So for those of you tuning in, a couple, you know, sort of big things to think about just from a dates perspective. Obviously, next week, the 28th, the demo will be available. So get in there, send us your feedback, start creating your team, starting your World Tour journey. The game will be launching on March 13th in North America, and then in the few days after that, sort of mostly March 15th and 16th throughout the rest of the world. If you're an EA Sports season ticket subscriber, March 10th the game's going to open up for you as well, so full early access to the game, as you've enjoyed with some of the other EA Sports games over the last little while as well. Make sure you keep following us on Facebook and on Twitter, and checking out our YouTube channel. We've got a lot more content that we're going to be pushing out over the next few days that really highlights new parts of the game, some more tutorials around the different controls in the game, as well as the modes and things like that. So make sure you're following us on those channels to keep abreast of all of the news. Thanks to the thousands of you for tuning in today. Apologies that we couldn't get to all your questions, especially the entire population of Scotland, who seem to have been on the broadcast today. There we go. Gary's had the home team support going all the way through the broadcast. So thanks again, everybody, and wherever you are in the world, good evening or good morning.
Peggy 3.
For me, it's not just a game, it's a dance. You never know what's my next move.
When you're going to show a guy up and pull off a panel, you have to be in complete control.
Play fast, play physical. Don't be afraid to bang the walls, and maybe you'll keep up.
Any dude can bust out a trick, but only legend freestyle all over the court.
Everybody can score goals, but can you put it off with style?
It all starts in the streets.
It all starts in the street.
Free your game.
Free your game.
Free your game.